25 miles from the Louisiana coast, in the Breton National Wildlife Refuge, the Chandeleur Islands are one of the most diverse and valuable habitats in the entire hemisphere. On the surface, this narrow chain of barrier islands plays an essential role in shielding the Gulf Coast from hurricanes and erosion. But beneath the surface, cradled in the shallow waters surrounding the islands, are the largest and most ecologically complex meadows of seagrass to be found anywhere in the region. These underwater forests serve as a vital nursery and the foundation of food chains for fisheries across the Gulf. For generations, the Chandeleur Islands have formed a living bridge, connecting the vibrant ecosystems of the Gulf to the economies and cultures of communities from West Texas to southern Florida, sustaining not just a habitat, but an entire way of life. For coastal communities, every facet of life is intrinsically linked to the Gulf. From cuisine to commerce to cultural identity.
Well, the fishing, of course, is why we come. It's a fishery like no other. And the remoteness, getting away from crowd. The first time I came 30 years ago, it looked totally different than it does now. I mean, it seemed like there was way more vegetation.
Since the mid-19th century, 90% of the island's acreage has been lost to erosion. As the climate changes, the frequency and intensity of tropical storm systems increase, causing the islands to disappear more rapidly than ever before. For many who have known these islands for decades, this is not just a memory, it's a visible retreat. As land loss reduces the protection for backwater barrier habitats where these seagrass meadows can thrive, recent disasters like the Deepwater Horizon oil spill have further devastated the grass beds, leaving them vulnerable. Without a concerted plan for restoration and preservation, the Chandeleur seagrasses will be lost forever. But even in their diminished and fragile state, the Chandeleur Islands and their seagrasses provide the ideal conditions for a vibrant tapestry of wildlife to take root.
The lassie is one of the more stable of the seagrasses. It requires sort of consistency and salinity and light and not a lot of freshwater swings. And so you can notice that these systems are relatively stable, and that leads to like beautiful production. I mean, these little trout are just absolutely gorgeous. You've got marsh and mangrove. You have transitional zones with different species of seagrass, different areas of sand bottom, mud bottom in between. And so as you go through each of these different habitats, you'll see little tiny transitions in the species that hang out in the different areas.
So imagine the biodiversity we see across the island and across these habitats when this is one tiny hole, one tiny swath, just a little dip into look at this productivity that's here.
So there you got a nice little smooth puffer there. Yeah. And an inflated one. Nice.
Among the rich assemblage of marine life that relies on these islands, 80 are species of greatest conservation need, including 4 species of seagrass and 11 species of fish. These seagrass beds provide an essential feeding ground for several threatened and endangered species, like the Gulf sturgeon. For over 200 million years, these living dinosaurs have roamed the brackish waters, foraging for food before returning to their spawning grounds in the rivers that make up the Gulf watershed. Not all species need to travel quite so far to reproduce. The seagrass meadows of the Chandeleurs make the perfect nursery for a genetically distinct population of lemon sharks.
Yep, that is definitely a lemon. There you can see that second dorsal fin is the same as the first. That really shows them off when they are coming along. So here we have a lemon shark, and the Chandeleur Islands are that northernmost breeding grounds, but nursery areas. So they pup on the Gulf side, and then they use the back barrier habitat to grow up to be this size, and then start the cycle over again and reproduce. And Chandeleur plays a part in every aspect of their life history, so we really need to protect it. All right, let's let this lady go.
Though lemon shark populations have remained relatively stable throughout the previous decade as the result of state and federal protections, without these important nursery grounds, there may be little left to protect. These seagrass beds are far more than just a remote oasis of plenty. They are a key link in a series of interconnected food chains that ripple out to sustain fish and wildlife across the entire Gulf ecosystem.
This is a food chain at its finest, just tons of forage species for our recreational species that not only forage here, but then travel and use habitats across the Gulf.
The catch of the day in an Alabama market may well have begun its life in the seagrass beds of the Chandeleurs. The islands are a shared resource fueling an interconnected regional economy and making the Gulf Coast one of the premier destinations for recreational fishing. An industry that draws anglers from every corner of the globe, supporting nearly 200,000 jobs and bringing roughly $32 billion into the Gulf states' economies each year.
Yeah, it's amazing the productivity out here.
There's just anything.
The
you
diversity.
can catch anything.
You're right.
As part of Louisiana's 50-year master plan to preserve coastal habitats, the effort to restore the Chandeleur Islands is more than a conservation project. It's an investment in the resilience of every community along the Gulf Coast, their cultures, their economies, and their way of life.
It's so important for our next generation. You know, I'm 63, I've enjoyed it my whole life, and I want the younger generation to continue to be able to experience exactly what I experienced, catching fish, seeing turtles, and all of it. So we need to take care of it. We need to, whatever we have to do to protect it, we have to do it for future generations.